Hi, welcome to BeFX Studios and our MatPlus tutorial series. Today we'll talk about a really important topic, and for this we'll take a different approach by using some based on true events examples. Some of these will probably sound obvious for most people, but trust us, if they are here, it's because they did happen. So let's imagine that we have our mat ball and we have this revolutionary idea of split it in two different materials, iron and gold, right? Okay, so you could probably think that it is a good idea to come here and create a couple materials for this, like for example, iron. And let's change the properties really quickly. Boom, there we have an iron, and let's create a new one, and let's call this one gold. And then we can go into edit mode, select faces, and let's say, for example, that we want these faces to be iron. Let's assign it, and let's invert. Let's invert and let's assign these faces to gold. Let's go out of edit mode, and then boom, this is what we got, a mat ball with two different materials. Pretty cool, right? No guys, this is not how you want to do it. First, it doesn't make any sense, and second, it can cause some bugs, and MatPlus in our new updates won't even allow you to create a project with a single object that has two different materials assigned to it, because as I said, it can cause some bugs. So let us go back to the beginning and take the right approach in this situation. And with this as a short intro, we'll talk about masking today, a really powerful and important topic for our projects. So now that we're ready to go, we will select our mat ball and create a new MatPlus project. Let's just give it a really original name. Something like this. Okay. And of course, the first thing that we want to do is actually bake our maps. So let's go for it. Okay, so back to our example, how we will do it inside of MatPlus. Let's just get rid of this layer, and the first thing that we want to create is actually two different groups. Let's just call this one iron, for example, and let's call this one gold. Boom. I'll just disable the visibility of this one, and I want to create a fill layer here, and let's just really quickly assign some properties to our layer. Okay, now let's just do the same and assign some for our gold. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is actually create a black mask in our group, and the first method that we're going to cover is actually by creating a paint effect, right? So 1K it's perfectly fine for masks, but you could also want to go with 2K. In this case, 1K is perfectly fine, so I'll stick with this. And the next thing will be actually to go into the edit mode by using the tab key and selecting from here the faces, or by pressing the number 3 on your keyboard. And with the letter L, you're gonna be able to select the islands, and these are the islands that I want to select for our gold. This one as well, and this one. Perfect. Let's go out of edit mode by pressing tab once more, and then we can just select our fill brush and enable the paint mask option. Let's just click and boom. Now let's just come into our iron. This is not necessary because we have the gold on top, but let's just do the process once more. Let's just add a black mask, a paint effect. Okay. Let's just go into edit mode, Control I. Let's just go out of edit mode and let's just paint it like this. And boom, this is the right way to do it, guys. Just using one single set material for this object, we can just mask out the parts that we want to assign certain material, and then assign different materials to every single part of this. And then we can just start assigning different effects and layers and all that stuff inside of a group. And remember, as we created a black mask on the group and not into the layer, every single thing that we do here will be limited by this group mask. Okay, the next method that we want to cover, it's actually the mask UV. So for this, let's just create a new group, and let's just call this one, I don't know, something like blue metal. And then let's just go ahead and add a new fill layer. Okay, so this time, instead of adding a black mask, what we will do is add a UV mask, right? And then the cool thing about this one is that it will give us access to our UV seams. So for example, let's say that I want to turn these pieces into this blue metal. If you want, for example, to get rid of one of these masks, you can click on here and you will get rid of it. So let's just pick it once more. And then, of course, what I want is actually to change the values here. For example, I want to change the height to mix, so I have a different material here. So yeah, pretty straightforward what this masking tool does. Okay, so the next tool that we want to check, it's actually Vertex Color. And for this, we actually do need a vertex paint. So we're going to check how to do it right now. So here we are. The only thing that you need to do is actually to come here into Vertex Paint and make sure that faces are actually selected, right? If you come here into the edit mode and select faces, then you will be able to once again select the islands that you want to paint. So once you have the faces selected here, let's just go out of edit mode. Let's select a color here, something for example like blue, and let's hit Ctrl X and then a couple times so it gets fully filled. Okay, if you come into this data tab and you go to color attributes, you will see that it is already created this attribute, and this one actually holds the vertex color. So let's say that I want to change the name here for something like test, which you can do. Okay, so if we go into the baking section, we can see that here it's the vertex color. And if we click on preview, we won't see anything, right? And this is actually because we changed the name here to test. Okay, so if we want to be able to visualize our vertex color, we have to name it the same as we did here. Okay, so I'll call it test and then I'll click on preview, and there we go. There we have our vertex color. And let's set something more interesting. So now the only thing we will need to do to work with our vertex color is to select our folder and click on mask and add mask vertex color. And from here, we will be able to pick our vertex color islands. So something like this. And then if we come to gold, we can do the same. And then the same for the blue. And there you go. Still, I don't think this is the ideal masking tool. As you can see here, we won't have the perfect resolution for our masks, so we will have these kind of white spots in the middle of the materials. So in this case, I will recommend you to go actually with one of the first methods that we teach you, like for example UV mask, or using the paint effect to mask our materials. And boom, there you have it. As you can see here, we now have perfect coverage over all of our objects, and we don't have those white strips in the middle of the materials. So yeah, I will just advise you to go with these methods. Now, the last two things that we want to check here is related to Mesh Island and Object ID. And for this, we will have to do something different. So to make it really simple, I created these three spheres, and we have two different options to work with them. One is if we want to work with them as separate objects, or if we want to work with them as one single object. If we want to do that, the only thing that we will need to do is actually hit on Ctrl J, and then we will join these spheres as one object. But we will start with the first example, working with them as different objects to see what we can do. So the first thing that we want to make sure is that they have assigned the same material, all of them. So let's create a new material, will be material 01, and let's assign the same material to all of them. Okay, boom, there we have it. Now we will just select them all, click on MatPlus, new project, and call it something really original, like for example, 3 spheres. So once here, let's go into our baking section. And now if we come to Object ID and click on Preview, we will see that we have different colors assigned to our models. So let's just go ahead and bake our textures. Okay, there it is. So let's go back into our layers and let's create something really quick here. So what we will do now is just turn off the visibility of this, and I will start adding our Object ID mask to each sphere. So let's click on here and pick ID. So you will see that we have access to our different colors. So I will start by adding these to the first sphere, and then I will turn on the gold, and I'll do the same. Mask by Object ID and click in the second one, and then with the blue one. So just the same. So this is how we will work with Object ID when we have 3 different objects. Now let's just check how we will work with them if they were just one single object. Okay, so here we have again our 3 spheres, and the only thing that will change is that now I will just click on Ctrl J to merge them all together, so they are one single object, as you can see here. Right, let's just now go into MatPlus. Okay, baking is ready. So one thing that I want to show you, it's actually if we come now into Object ID and we hit on Preview, we will have the same color. Why? Because they are all the same object. So we won't have a difference here. Right, so if we come here into Layers and we do the same, let's just create something really quick and simple. So let's just check the last mask, and this will be actually Mesh Island. Okay, so let's select here, and by Mesh Island we can select every single object as we did before. Why is this working like this? Because it's one single mesh, but of course it has UVs, and every mesh has a different mesh island, so I can just pick the color of every mesh island. So there it's the difference between object ID and mesh island, and this is how you will be able to use each option. So these are our masking tools and how to use each of them. We hope this tutorial was really useful for you and clarified this important topic for a lot of people that was a little confused. As always, remember to leave us a comment, thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe to our channel to keep updated with our new content. Thank you for all your support and see you in the next one.